In this tutorial, we'll look at where you can go to find more help, tutorials and examples. We'll start with help you can get from the LabVIEW for LEGO Mindstorms splash page, including the Teach Me, Challenge Me and Help Me links. Then we'll have a look at what's available within LabVIEW, such as the example templates and context help. Here on the splash page, we've obviously got these introductory videos. I'm going to assume that you've had a look at these by now, but you may have overlooked these links at the bottom of the screen, so let's check these out. Teach Me will take you to a series of tutorials. Let's have a quick look at them now. The NXT Tutorials focus on a couple of the newer features in LabVIEW for LEGO Mindstorms, such as the schematic editor and the robot project center. I don't tend to use these, which is why I haven't focused on them in my tutorials, but there are some nice things that you can do with them, so these are worth checking out. Next is Challenge Me. These challenges encourage you to have a go at some programming tasks that have been chosen to illustrate various concepts within LabVIEW. Now let's have a look at one of the Mindstorms programming tasks. Let's escape from a box. What's nice about this is that for each challenge there's a series of tabs detailing different LabVIEW concepts. Let's now have a look at Help Me. So this will eventually take you to K12 Lab.com. This is National Instruments site for everything to do with STEM education. That's science, technology, engineering and mathematics. There's heaps of cool stuff here, including ideas for projects, videos, articles and lesson plans, etc. So it's definitely worth having a look around this site. So between Teach Me and Challenge Me and Help Me, there's lots of really good ideas in those, and they're definitely worth having a look through if you haven't done that already. Now if you create a new program from the splash screen and then we go to Virtual Instruments, you'll see that we get a list here, a pretty huge list of example program templates. So let's take a look at one under the Sensors category. Let's have a look at Radar Gun. So like this one, all these examples usually have a description in the front panel, along with any controls or indicators that they need. The block diagram, of course, shows the code for the example. And while we're here, let's revisit the context help. You'll find this will be pretty useful when you're going through these examples if there's a block that you don't recognize or wondering how it works. So, for example, this one looks like a display block, but it wasn't one we saw in the displaying numbers tutorial. But you can see it's for displaying a number. This is actually part of that poly VI that can display number or text or whatever. And if we have a look down here, you'll see we've got some detailed help. So let's have a look at that detailed help. And this will of course take you to some more detailed help, including a sample program and more examples. It's also pretty handy that you can add a function that you find in this help interface directly from this window. So if I click on Add to the block diagram, then I can drop that icon directly onto my screen over here. Also, if you want to know where a particular function is in the palette, you can use this option, Find on the Palette. And here's a tip. If you select Customize, view this palette as Category, Icons and Text, you get a bigger picture of where this function lives within the function palette. So in this case, we're under NXT Robotics, NXT.io, Complete, and then Display, and then here you can see the number function. Finally, within the Functions palette, there's a sub-palette called Behaviors. This contains example chunks of code for each of these particular behaviors. For example, let's drag out Follow a Line. And you'll see we've basically got a whole working program here. The collection of behaviors isn't nearly as comprehensive as the template examples that we looked at before, but there are some neat ones here, and it's certainly an interesting way of organizing and accessing examples nonetheless. And hopefully that's given you a pretty good idea of where you can go to look for further help and examples.